Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of The Agent's Edge. My name is Ryan Polimeni. On this episode, you asked, we answered. I want to go to a Q&A session that we had. And listen, if you have questions, I want you to email me at info@ryanpolimeni.com. You ask, I'll answer. Enjoy the episode. The question was, what are the three things your team does to stay in touch with clients? And I really like this because I got to tell you, last year in 2021, our firm really became, we've always been client obsessed, but we became even more client obsessed than we've ever been before. And to me, as our agency has grown, we went from myself and one admin 2 years ago to now we have 10 full-time staff people. And so, when you have that kind of growth, it's very important to have the right systems in place to facilitate that growth, but also to be able to be systematic in the way that your entire team functions. Because, now we have a couple, it's myself, my business partner, Brian, we have a couple other internal agents that we're distributing leads to. And the problem becomes, how do you keep track of all of that? And if it's just you and an admin, it's a lot easier. But if you have the desire to grow to the very next level, meaning you want to start building an internal agency, you want to add more staff, you want to get your business to a multi-million-dollar business, you're going to need people to do that. But the most important thing is you need systems. And so what we started focusing on was, okay, we've got multiple agents internally. And again, if it's just you, I would still do these exact same things, because I got to tell you, I made a lot of mistakes when I was in the mortgage protection final expense world, because the culture of that was to move on to the next sale, right? You have to make another sale to make more money, make more commissions. And I get that. We all have to make a living. We all have to pay our bills and build our business. However, I wish 13 years ago when I started, someone told me that the most important thing for your business is going to be to have a system that's client-centric and client management. Now we use a CRM. 13 years ago, I didn't even know what the heck a CRM was. Nobody explained to me what a CRM was. But these are the three things that we do every single month now to stay in touch with our clients, to keep clients going through the funnel system that we built, to keep more touch points. And even when we acquire a client, that's not when it stops. That's just when the client journey actually begins. And that's something that we've made a lot of changes to. So let me give you an example of what I mean. The first thing that we do every single month is we categorize who's a client versus a prospect. And I think that's a really important thing for you to decipher too, is because maybe you sat with somebody, they need to think about it. We started going, well, what do we do with those people? How do we categorize that? How do we put them into a separate funnel system that allows us to drip on them every single month until they decide to do something with us, or they tell us just to leave us alone, don't ever contact us again, right? That's a system that we have to put in place. And for a lot of you selling mortgage protection final expense, maybe you're just getting the lead, going on to the next one, and not even thinking about that, because for the first 7 years of my life, I just went on to the next lead, and I had hundreds and hundreds of people that I sat with that maybe I didn't write business with. And I never, ever, ever went back to those people, knowing that maybe life insurance wasn't the right thing, but maybe they had an annuity there. Maybe they were getting ready to retire. Maybe they were 57 and I couldn't move their active 401k till 59 and a half, but I just let that go. So we wanted to build internal systems that allowed us to stay in communication with that. And one of the things that we do now, so the first thing is we do monthly webinars for our clients. And so again, think about having it broken down. Let's talk about prospects and clients. So every single month we have a webinar for our clients and we have a webinar for our prospects. And why you want to have that separated is because the content is going to be different for each one of those webinars. Literally as we speak, it's 12 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, downstairs in my office downstairs, I have my director of client management who is actually conducting that client, we call it the client engagement webinar. She's down there literally doing it right now. And what that's entailing is something new. something that we're doing for our clients differently, something we're adding to our clients. Right now, we're going through a major onboarding process with a new financial planning tool that we're using. So she's down there giving examples of the new tool that we use to get them re-excited about working with us, to stay in contact with us, to get more referrals based on something like that. So we call it a client engagement webinar. So every single month, I don't care if they're a life insurance client, long-term care, annuity, AUM, tax client, doesn't matter what kind of client they are on that website. I would say we probably send that email out to 200, 300, 400 clients every single month. We get them on our client engagement site, webinar, and we just talk about things. Last month, and we unveiled this thing that we called a ambassador program, which is a referral system that I'll talk about. And so I went through, hyped it up, told it it's the greatest thing since sliced bread to a couple hundred clients. And we went through and we just talked about what our ambassador program was, how you become an ambassador of Polimeni Tax and Financial Group, and what that means. What do you do? What do you get? And I'll talk about that in a second. So monthly webinars for your current book, and monthly education webinars for your prospect book. So when you sit down with somebody and you do not do business with that person, they need to go into a system that allows you to keep in touch. So we use Constant Contact. That's what we use for our mail system. And then we'll use Zoom or GoToWebinar, whatever we do for the webinar side of things. But having something like Constant Contact where my director of client management goes in and she basically separates everything. We have a drip marketing list. We have a client list. And our client list is broken down by different states. We did business in 26 states last year, virtually out of this office. So it's kind of cool to start seeing those lists grow. We got, our Texas list is growing and our Oklahoma list. It's cool to see that stuff happen. So categorize things. Keep things really, really structured. All right. So that education piece can be on any topic. So for an example, we typically go through a series of different topics, like we'll do one on Social Security. So we'll do the changes in 2022 that affect Social Security. And you get a lot of prospects that had attended a workshop before. They maybe just didn't do business with you, but you did a really good job educating them on something. Maybe they just weren't of age to do business with you. Whatever the reasoning is, you just keep educating them. They're in a sales funnel system. All we want to do is drip, 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 educate, and just keep that process going. Because at some point, maybe you were talking to them about long-term care and you never told them anything about Social Security, and Social Security is now a hot button for them, and you're educating them Social Security, and they go, whoa, wait a minute. I want to set up another appointment with you to talk about this further. You see, that's why you do it. You educate on the prospect list, but you have a specific reason to talk to your clients on a monthly basis. A lot of time it's an update call on what our firm is doing. A lot of times it will be another educational piece, but targeted to things that I've already worked with them on, so they can rehear it again, something that's fresh or important tax changes. I was going to bring that to my clients, especially now in tax season. So that could be another piece that you do for your prospects is, I got my drip marketing list of 200 people here. Let's talk about taxes. It's tax season. What are some of the changes that are happening? Do you know what the new 2022 tax tables look like? Do you know what the new limits for IRA contributions are? Did you know that they moved, the income limit for Roth IRA up about $8,000? Did you know all these things? And maybe that's a conversation with your prospects that you can have with them and just revisit it. The reason that I own and run a tax firm is because I want people to do their taxes with us here. Why? Because I want them to have to come back to me every year. Imagine if you have somebody who is 55 years old, they've got $500,000 in their active 401k at work that you cannot touch until 59 and a half. How do you stay in contact with that person for 4.5 years? You do their taxes. I don't do their taxes. We have a CPA that I partnered with. She does their taxes. But guess what? To book their appointment, they have to call my office. And then we are the middleman on there. Oh, and by the way, we're going to make sure we gather up all the financial pieces that we have to give to our CPA this year. Because why? I want to know what their accounts grew to. I want to know any changes in their financial system. We now do estate planning for our clients. Why? Because I want to every single year go through and do another review on their estate plan. Did anything change? Financially, let's change the numbers. Did you add an IRA? Is there something that we need to roll over? Did you leave your job and now you have an old 401k that you forgot to call us, but because we're going through our estate planning or because you're a tax client, you're going to disclose that information to me. Now we have an opportunity. You see, this is why you have to keep in touch with both lists every single month. All right, so client webinars, number one. Number two, one of the things that we have done in my firm is we've developed a 90-day touch point system. Because especially as you start kind of breaking over into the AUM world, the assets under management, the first 90 days are crucial with the client, because the client experience has to be so good. They could back out on the AUM, they could move their book somewhere else. You have to make sure your 90-day touch point. So what we started doing, we started classifying clients based upon the assets that we hold. Here's an example. Anybody that we bring on as a client that has $250,000 or more that they're investing with us, they will get a 90-day touch point from all of my staff members that work downstairs in our financial office. So what does that mean? That means that if I write an annuity for $250,000, they're going to hear from me. They've already talked to my administrative assistant. She was the one that booked the appointment. Then they're going to talk to my director of client management, who's going to onboard that person about 2 weeks later, or usually probably sooner than that, depending on the scheduling. And then they're going to talk to my business partner, Brian. Even if they don't do any AUM with us, assets under management, he is still going to reach out to that person and introduce himself as a member of our firm. And we do those touch points. So in between me writing an application, Candace, my director of client management, is going to reach out to them, onboard them. I'm going to then have Bryant touch point with them at some point. Then we're going to do the policy delivery. Then we're going to do our 90-day review to make sure everything else is fine. Is there anything missing? Did we miss anything? We want to make sure we do anything. Maybe that's another point where I go back and say, I know we did the annuity, but we didn't really touch too far on the long-term care. Let's go back and revisit that conversation. Or maybe since everything has gone so smoothly, now we're going to go back and do the AUM side of things. It allows you that touch point. And then what we started doing in our firm is we said, well, we know we do annual reviews, which I do with every single client. I don't care if they're an IUL client. I don't care if they're a term life client. We do an annual review with every single one of our clients. And I said to my team, it's not enough. In their first year with us, not only are we going to put in our 90-day touch point system, but we also want to have in their first year, this is the first year only on annuity clients, if they're AUM over a certain amount, they're getting a quarterly review, semi-annual or annual. On the annuity side of things, in their first year with us, we do a 6-month review. I know you're not going to make any changes to the annuity, but I want to make sure that they're still excited about it. I want to make sure that nothing else in life has changed. I want to make sure that they hear from us and we're just not that firm that wrote them an annuity and never talked to them again until a year later, right? Think about how many things change in somebody's life in a year. We want to be on the forefront of that. It also allows me to remind them about our ambassador program for our referral system. It also reminds me to talk to them about their outside 401k that we didn't touch, or maybe an old IRA that they were contemplating rolling over, wasn't real sure. And now they're familiar with us. They have 6 months working with us under their belt where they've talked to everybody in the firm, and you get the point. It's an important thing to do and have a 90-day touch point system. And maybe you don't have the kind of staff that I have, and that's fine. But maybe you should just say, I'm going to talk to you. My admin's going to talk to you. We're going to do our delivery receipt, and in 90 days, I'm going to reach back out to you to make sure everything is going well. You can do your own 90-day touch point, and maybe one of those touch points is just drop in an article. Hey, this is, congratulations, you purchased the best annuity on the planet, and give them some documentation on the annuity that they purchased, 45 days out in between that 90-day period of time. What you want to do is to be engaged and have your clients engaged with us as much as possible. So we do everything in our power to stay in contact with them as much as possible, because they can go and choose a different firm. We don't want that. We want to make sure that we are holistic in the way that we do it and cover all the different things. Okay. So the third thing that we do to stay in touch with our clients, I had mentioned it, is we do an onboarding process. And the onboarding process, we use a system called Right Capital. You've heard of Right Capital. eMoney is another client system. Basically what it is, it's an online portal that allows your clients to bring in all of their pieces of finances into one central spot that you and the client can monitor and manage together. It is a phenomenal tool. I think it's $150 a month for Right Capital. I get no commission for telling you this, but I'm just promoting it because I know we love it, and it's very simple to use. So for $150 a month, you can now have your own client portal, and that client portal is attached to our website. So in order for them to sign in, they have to go back to my website, hit the client, login, and it brings them to that portal that we white labeled. So it says Polimeni Tax and Financial Group. And when they get in there, now they have their own custom portal with all of their finances, my annuity that I wrote with them, the IUL that we did, AUM under there. They can upload their tax documents. They can see, we can do Social Security maximization with them. So what Candace, my director of client management, does is she goes through that process and onboards them. Once their annuity has been issued, she connects the annuity to the Right Capital account so they can see everything live. If they have an old 401k or an active 401k that we can't move yet, we connect that to the portal so we can monitor and manage that. So at any moment, I can look up Bob Smith and pull his client profile, and I can see real life what his 401k is doing. Is it up? Is it down? And I got to tell you, since we've done this, we have found millions of dollars of assets that we didn't even know existed because the client either didn't tell us or something that they just didn't want to focus on and they didn't want to go through that process. But because they connected it, we now know. And I got to tell you, when the times are really bad, when the market's burning to the ground, that's your best friend, because you may have wrote an IUL for them, but maybe they have an old 401k that didn't really want to do anything with because the market has been on fire lately. But all of a sudden, it's down 20% this year. And you look up Bob Smith's profile and you see that his 401k or old 401k is down 20%. You pick up the phone and say, hey, I'm just calling you for a quick review. Hope all is well. Let you know everything on your IUL is doing great. But I did notice that your 401k, your old 401k or your IRA was down 20%. How much more of that are you willing to lose? Then you can open up these kind of conversations. But if you don't have these kind of tools in place, then you're going to miss them. All right. So again, very big part. So the three things, one more time: monthly webinars for both prospects and clients. Number 2, 90-day onboarding process. Number 3, use financial planning tools to stay in touch with your clients. Again, we use Right Capital. And just think about that too. If your clients use it consistently, they're just going to keep coming back to your website to log in, coming back. What if they use that on a weekly basis and they hit your website every single week? Who's going to be at the forefront of their mind when anything financially comes up? I had a client call. I had a client's daughter call me this morning out of the blue and said, hey, I'm getting ready to start a business. I need someone to help me with all of my finances. We're going to buy a business. I need you to walk me through that process. I need you to help me set up our SEP IRAs. And it's like everything, key man insurance. That's a great call to have, right? But that was because we have taken care of this client who, by the way, I have been working with her for 4 years. And I have not done business with her yet, because when I met her, she was only 55 years old. This year, she's turning 59 and a half, which means for the first time, I have the opportunity to go help her move her 401k, move her TSP, and really finally start doing more. But in the last 4 years, I have nurtured that client relationship. She has sent me referrals. I have done annual reviews on stuff that I don't even have for her, because in my CRM system, we know how much opportunity we have. I can tell you today, I could go pull my list of every single client turning 59 and a half this year or retiring this year, and I can tell you based upon those numbers, how much business I'm going to automatically do this year without even spending $1 in marketing. That's the system that you have to develop internally. And it's not going to happen today. It's going to take time to do. But if you listen to what I'm telling you, those are the kind of things you should be focused on. I wish I did this 13 years ago. I'll just give you an example of what I mean by this. Last year, just an annuity volume, not including IULs or AUMs, just an annuity volume, I did 4.2 million in annuity volume from clients that attended my webinar. I'm sorry, actually, it was a live seminar back then. Clients that attended my seminar in 2018. Think about that. We tracked all the clients from 2018 seminar that I did, and we knew how many of them were turning. And we reached out to them. Some reached out to us. We didn't have to do it. Some just called us out of the blues. Hey, I attended your webinar. I'm of age now. I want to do more planning. But from 2018 to last year, drip, 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 every month, we were at the forefront of their thought when it came to anything financial related. And they called us from time to time, say, hey, what do you think about this? And I give them advice, and then we moved on. I noted it in the CRM system. Just drip, drip, drip. Send them an article on what's going on in the market. Whatever you have to do, get a system that does that. So, all right, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed that Q&A session. We have a lot more Q&As coming. But listen, don't forget, you don't want to miss the next Q&A. Hit the subscribe button. If you're watching, you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please go ahead and hit that now. If you thought this was helpful, make sure you hit the share button. And for the YouTube algorithm, please hit that like button. Thanks always for watching. We'll see you on the next episode.